How long are you going to carry the burden when he died to take it away? How long are you going to carry the shame that he already carried up a hill? Let's leave that at the cross. Let's leave that in his grave. You got a regret? Hand it over. You got a defeat? Hand it over. Everything that you've been through, everything that you will go through are not worthy to be compared with the glory that will be revealed if you hand it over. Let me tell you what he was doing up on the cross. This is what they didn't understand, and this is why they fled, and this is why they lost their hope, because all they saw was death. But Jesus didn't die so that death could reign. He died to bring victory into the earth. But he couldn't bring victory into the earth looking like victory. He had to dress it up like death and hang it on a cross because he's sneaky. He's sneaky. He's sneaky. And here's what he does. He'll send glory into your life, but it won't look like glory. He'll send blessing into your life, but it won't look like blessing. He'll send patience into your life dressed like your teenager. Think about it. Because he's sneaky. And he'll send some of the best times in your life dressed like some of the hardest times. You don't see it while you're in it. I'm going to stay right here on this point because y'all are so quiet. I know I'm preaching right to your guts. I'm preaching to your small intestine. Sneaky. He's sneaky. So he's up there on the cross and he says it's finished because he was speaking in code because he's sneaky. To tell us that, because to them that sounded like it's over. We got him, it's done, he's dead, because he's sneaky. So when he wanted to bring life into the earth, he snuck it in through death. When he wanted to bring peace to the earth, he snuck it in through chaos because he's sneaky. Sneaky, sneaky. Sneaky Jesus. I'm thankful that he's strong, but I will never understand his strength if I don't learn to see it in sorrow. Because sometimes God will sneak the strength that you've been praying for in your life through the sorrow. Talk to me. Y'all don't have to be quiet. Don't let these people make you quiet. Talk to me. Don't let them intimidate you. But usually we understand that more on the return trip. So they walked all 7 miles, but they didn't recognize Jesus. They were kept from recognizing him. They were kept from recognizing him until he sits down at the table. Watch how sneaky he is. Takes the bread, blesses it, and breaks it. You see what he's doing? Because that's what had happened to his body. Because that's what had happened to their hope. Because that's what always has to happen in your life before you really see the glory of God. And he told them on the road, he said, don't you understand? Did not the Messiah, verse 26, have to suffer these things? Did he not have to suffer these things and then enter his glory? See, glory never looks like glory when it's coming. It never looks like glory when you see it coming. But when he took the bread, blessed it, broke it, and gave it to them, when he gave it to them, they saw not only the broken bread, but they saw the place where the nails had been, and then they recognized him when he did that, because he's sneaky. And he did not describe it, he demonstrated it. So he goes, hey, let's eat. Boom, bip, bang. And they saw it. And they're like, oh yeah, and that's how it is. It's after I've walked the whole walk, and after I've run, and after I've tried, and after I've cried, and after I've hurt, and then I see it. It was him all along. He had to suffer. But you don't get it while you're in it. I mean, let's be real. Sometimes our memory is much more enjoyable than our experience. I'm talking about family vacation now. It's hilarious. You look at the pictures and talk about what a great time it was. No, it wasn't. You've edited the family vacation in your memory. You've clipped it together. You took out the part where you threatened to give the kids up for adoption. When you're in it, you don't see it. But resurrection is a round trip. Did not the Messiah have to suffer these things and then enter into his glory? And when they saw that, they got up. Look at verse 33. They got up and they turned around and they went back. Now watch this. I called this series 7 Mile Miracle. I shouldn't have. It's really a 14-mile miracle. Because the first 7, they walked without the light. The second 7, they walked back, and now they knew. God said, today is somebody's second 7 miles. Now you see it. Now you get it. This is your turning point. This is that moment where you see he was with me all along. It's turnaround time. It's turnaround time. It's turnaround time. I walked 7 miles in shame, but now I'm walking this second 7 in freedom. This is my turning point. I'm not staying in Emmaus. And so they walked back to Jerusalem, and they got together with Peter and the disciples, and Jesus snuck into the room, and he revealed himself, and he said, peace, peace. He released. That's my 3rd letter, and I'm done because there's only 3, because you can't have more than 3 points on Easter Sunday. It's just not scriptural. My 3rd point is release. Now, let me point out something to you that every sneakerhead in here will understand. There is a difference between the reveal and the release. Why do they show you the shoe 3 months before they will sell it to you? Let me break it down another way. You remember when the iPad first came out? No? Well, let me remind you. For me, it was a big deal because I thought, well, I'm gonna get one of those and I'm gonna preach from it. And I'll be cutting edge, preaching from my iPad. I looked so cool preaching from my iPad. And Steve Jobs did a reveal where he went through the iPad and all the features of the iPad. And I saw it, and I was so excited to get an iPad. And I told one of our staff members, I said, I'm going to go get one of those tomorrow. And they said, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. I said, I'm going to get one. I'm going to be one of the first preachers in America. I might not be the smartest preacher in America, but I might not be one of the best either, but I will be one of the first to preach from an iPad. I'm going to get an iPad. They said, you can't go get an iPad. It's not going to be out for several months. Because there is a space between the reveal and the release. That's where hope gets lost. In that space between the reveal and the release is called Saturday. It's when you're sitting around and you thought God was gonna. And you just knew God was gonna. And you were sure that they would never, and then they did. It's called space. That's where faith grows. In between 2 points. Between the reveal and the release. And that's what the cross was. It was the reveal. And it was the release. And so Jesus said several things. He said, today you'll be with me in paradise. The word of salvation, Father, forgive them. The word of forgiveness, behold your mother. The word of relationship, my God, why have you forsaken me? The word of abandonment, distress. The word of distress was I thirst. He said, it is finished, which was the word of triumph. And then after he said that, Luke says that he said, Father, into your hands, I commit my spirit. As the sky grew black for 3 hours into the darkness, he spoke commitment. Father, into your hands, I commit my spirit. And he breathed his last. But his last breath was my first breath. Because death was not his final destination. I went to Sydney this week, but I already had my ticket back to Charlotte before I ever left for Sydney. Jesus came to earth in the likeness of sinful man, but he was not a sinful man. He went to a cross, but he did not belong on that cross. He did not stay on that cross. He was in this world, but he was not of this world. He went to the grave. He did not stay in the grave. I'm talking about round trip resurrection now. He suffered that he might be glorified. By his wounds, you are healed. Everybody say release. Release. So here's what I wanted to show you. Because remember, God is very sneaky. And Luke says that Jesus on the cross said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. But Luke wasn't at the cross. Luke is recording what he said at the cross, but Luke wasn't at the cross. Now, John, who also wrote one of the Gospels, he was at the cross. He was there. He wasn't loud. He was listening. He was watching. John was, I would say he's a sneaky disciple. Because if you look at him at the Last Supper, he's got his head on Jesus. He's kind of sneaky. Every one of my kids have different personalities. Elijah is very direct and forceful and articulate, logical. If he wants something, he's going to give you 17 reasons you should give it to him and 13 consequences if you don't. Abby is very beautiful and charming. And then Graham is sneaky. He doesn't, I didn't teach him to be this way. He just is this way. Graham is my sneaky kid. So if he wants something from you, he will come up to you. He will hug you like he loves you, but he's working on something. Because he's sneaky. Everybody say sneaky. He's very sneaky. He came up to me yesterday and started hugging me, and he was hugging me, and he started singing this song, and I liked it. The song was, it was like, let me see if I can do it. That's my daddy, 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 that's my, I like the groove of it. I started dancing to it. That's my daddy, that's my daddy, that's my daddy, that's my daddy. About the time I'm dancing, I realize what he's doing. The whole song was a setup. The last line, he goes, and he's gonna get me a dog. And he walks off because he's sneaky. Because he's sneaky. And I think what John did when he recorded what Jesus did when he died, because remember, it looked like the end. It was really the beginning. It was grace dressed like shame. It was triumph dressed like trouble. And so John says that when Jesus died and said, it is finished, which was a cry of victory, with that, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. And gave up his spirit is how we say it in English. But the Bible wasn't written in English. In fact, this part of the Bible was written in Greek. And there is a Greek word that John used in the 30th verse of the 19th chapter of his gospel that we translated gave up, that really doesn't mean gave up. You know what the Greek word is? Paradidomai. Paradidomai. Now you thought I was just randomly telling you that, but I wasn't. I was sneaking it in. So when I got to this point in the sermon, you would know that when the Bible says that Judas handed Jesus over to the Sanhedrin, paradidomai, and the Sanhedrin handed Jesus over to Pilate, and Pilate handed Jesus over to Herod, and Herod handed over Jesus to be crucified. When Jesus got ready to die, guess what he did with his spirit? Paradidomai. He handed it over. I'm trying to say, nobody took his life. He gave it. He gave it. And he took the bread, and he blessed it, and he broke it, and he gave it, and he gives it. And he handed it over. And he handed it over. Paradidomai, the same word that says Judas handed Jesus over. I'm done. Stand up. The same word that says that Judas handed Jesus over is used to describe the way that Jesus handed himself over. What am I trying to say? He had it in hand all along. It was always in his hands. It might have looked like Judas' hand. It might have looked like Herod's hand. It might have looked like Pilate's hand. But the hand on the hand that writes the story of your life is the hand of God. Somebody shout, hand it over. He handed it over. And can I tell you something else about paradidomai? It means to hand over for keeping until the appropriate time. So the Sanhedrin held him when he was handed over until it was time to hand him over to the Roman government. And they held him until it was time to hand him over to the centurion so that he could die. And so when Jesus died, his last word, his last mile, before he would do what he came to do and fulfill his purpose on the earth, he said, Father, into your hands I hand over my spirit. Keep it for me till Sunday. Because when Sunday comes, y'all better clap to get me off this stage, because if I start preaching about that, oh God. Because when he got up on Sunday with all power in his hand, you see, he had a little meeting with the devil. And he said, hey, devil, what's that in your hand? And the devil said, that's the key. And Jesus said, the key to what? And the devil said, this is Revelation 1:18. It doesn't record the whole conversation, but it lets me know the outcome. The devil said, it's the key to death. And Jesus said, paradidomai. In other words, come on now. Come on, church. Hand it over. I beat that. I did that. I rocked that. I left that in my brain. Hand it over. What else you got there, devil? Oh, this is the key to hell. This is the key to judgment. This is the key that will punish them according to their transgressions. And Jesus said, yeah, but I dealt with that. Now hand it over. Hand it over. Somebody shout, hand it over. That's the invitation. That's the invitation. The release, hand it over. Hand it over. Hey, what are you carrying, Cleo? Disappointment? I dealt with that. Now hand it over. Because you got 7 more miles to go. Now hand it over. You see these hands that bled for you? They were holding your hands the whole time, and nothing has happened to you that will be wasted. Why don't you do what he did with that bread and hand it over? How long are you going to carry the burden when he died to take it away? How long are you going to carry the shame that he already carried up a hill? Hand it over. Hand it over. I hear the Spirit of God saying that just over and over in my mind. I just hear inserting whatever it is that you're carrying that Jesus already died to roll away. And I hear him saying, hand it over. What are you discussing as you walk along the road? Let's leave that in Emmaus. Let's leave that at the cross. Let's leave that in his grave. You got a regret? Hand it over. You got a defeat? Hand it over. You got an excuse? Hand it over. Did not the Messiah have to suffer these things to enter into his glory? Now hand it over so that you can experience what Paul described. He said, I reckon that the sufferings of this present time, everything that you've been through, everything that you will go through, are not worthy to be compared with the glory that will be revealed if you hand it over. But if you stay at Emmaus and you keep your back turned to Jerusalem, you will never know what was waiting for you in his hands for you to receive it. And this is the promise of God. The Spirit of God is in this place. Now I want you to bow your head and no one moving, because this is the moment of the handover. This is the moment where you trust him with your life. You've been doing it your own way for 7 miles now, and it's gotten you nowhere but Emmaus, and it's gotten you nowhere but confusion, and it's gotten you nowhere but despair. It's gotten you nowhere. But today, here stands one who offers to you the bread of life. Healing is in his hands. Life is in his hands. Freedom is in his hands. So I want to pray with you right now, to the end that you would hand it over. To the end that you would get up and come back like Cleopas did, like Peter did after he had gone fishing, like we all must do, to repent, to believe that resurrection is here. With your heads bowed and your eyes closed at every location, we're going to pray a prayer right now. This prayer is for those who are handing it over, for those who are ready to make Jesus Christ the Lord of your life, to come back to him. And I want us to pray together out loud as a church family for the benefit of those who are coming back to God. Pray with me. Heavenly Father, into your hands, I commit my life. I belong to you. Today I trust you. I believe that Jesus Christ is your Son, and today I make him my Savior and I call him Lord. This is my new beginning. Forgive me of my sin. Change my heart. Make me a brand new creation. From this day forward, I will follow you all the days of my life. Heads bowed, eyes closed. On the count of 3, if you just prayed that prayer, shoot your hand in the air boldly. This is your moment. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Shoot them up all over these campuses. Hands going up. New life beginning. Coming back home to the place you belong. Come on, church. Let's welcome them home like the 11. It is true. The Lord is risen. He is risen indeed. If you know he's risen, lift your voice. Lift your hands. Well, I hope you enjoyed the teaching today, but I don't want it to end here. I have a special resource I want to tell you about called 7 Mile Miracle, because what you heard today was really just part of the journey, where we took the last sayings of Jesus on the cross and applied them to our everyday life. So it really enabled us to go into some deep topics like forgiveness and distress and salvation, the fundamentals of our faith, but explore them at a personal level. It's called 7 Mile Miracle. It's your personal encounter with the resurrected Christ. And I believe it's going to be a blessing to you. So if you've been wanting to grow closer to God, but you don't really know where to start, or you want to hit a reset in your relationship with him, or maybe just build your faith or address some of the tough topics through the lens of the very words of Jesus, this is the resource for you. I want you to call right now and request your copy of 7 Mile Miracle today. And we'll make it available to you with any gift to the ministry. You can help us reach people while investing in your own spiritual growth. And I believe this is one of those journeys, Holly, that changes how we view our pain, our setbacks, and our disappointment, but not just at the surface level. We're going to learn, too, what Jesus meant when he said, Father, forgive them. Or when he told the thief, today you will be with me in paradise. We're going to come out on the other side of this journey, not only stronger, but smarter. We're going to understand, and the eyes of our heart are going to be open. So pick up the phone,
Visit us online. Whatever you need to do, I want you to join Jesus on this journey. It's called 7 Mile Miracle, and we want to get it into your hands today. Stay tuned for details.
It's not always easy to know what to do or where to go. You question if this is the right path, wondering if you've gone the wrong way. When it feels hopeless and bleak, you can begin to question your faith. I mean, God said he'd never leave you, right? But why do you feel so alone? You want to stop here, give up, and not move on. This is the place where you wonder, why did everything go wrong?
You keep trying to figure out the reason for what's happening to you. And when you can't figure out the reason, you want to jump off the road. But if you would reverse the search and believe in your heart what you have not yet seen with your eyes and believe the goodness of God, this journey doesn't start with making sense. This journey starts with faith. Have faith in God.
You know what? You don't need to know why to have the faith to keep going, because God's not going to leave you here.
The second 7 miles is when you turn back around and stop running from what God saved you out of and start running toward what God saved you for.
Take this 7-mile journey with us. Call or go online to request your copy of 7 Mile Miracle today.
Well, you've experienced Elevation as a TV program, but now we want to invite you to be a part of our church family, our extended family, our eFam all around the world. Did you know you can join us live every single week from wherever you are? We stream all of our full worship experiences live with the preaching and the music, and it's amazing. So here's what I want you to do. Go on Facebook, find my official Facebook page, not one of the fake ones, and then like it so you can get access to content throughout the week. There's all kinds of stuff we want to encourage you with, but also you'll be able to stream our experiences live on Facebook. So do it right now. Go like the page, Stephen Furtick Official on Facebook, so you don't miss out, and I hope you'll join us for church this weekend.